Hey guys, welcome back to the Bear Devil. It's been a long time I haven't uploaded any videos. I got some work, I got busy in some project actually. So from now on, I will be uploading videos in every week. So coming to the today's topic. So today's topic is going to be simple, but it kinda confusing, right? So without let's further ado, let's get started. Okay. So this is our topic today, API. So what is an API? What is it? So as you all know that API has become the bedrock of connecting customers and partners in digital world, right? But sometimes they get confused now. Then there is another simple technique or similar technique you can say that's called webhook. So as a result, we often see these terms actually throughout these tools documentation creates sometimes confusing like what is an API, what is an webhook. So let's get started. We'll give you a very quick explanation of how webhook compared to API. Right. So what is an API? Let's API stands for all you know like application programming interface, right? But if I talk about that, you will not get a proper idea what is it. So actually in simple terms it defines the interconnection between multiple software application. It allows you to set the kinds of polls of requests that can be made or how can we make them. Like in the web development world, we often use API, right, to access the internet and to access the external applications. So I think I'm sounding some little hard to follow, but bear with me here. We are going to translate it into simple English in a second. Like so, what is Webhook? Don't worry, I will give you a proper example to get you understand what is that. So a webhook is an event-based API endpoint. Okay, so some of you might think API and webhook are different, but yeah, it's different. Its work is different, but you called it as a event-based API endpoint because it's responsible for triggering internal function, right? To look up for information real time. That is the main thing. The keyword is real time here. So in web development here also it is used to augment or change how a web page or web application behaves via custom callbacks, right? So in webhooks, these callbacks may be maintained, modified or managed by third-party users and developers also who may not necessarily be affiliated with the originating website or application. So in webhooks, so the format usually is JSON. The request is done through a HTTP post request, right? So let's get into the example thing. Okay, so in APIs, so in APIs defines the communication method of two pieces of software that connect and talk to each other on the web. That means that other programs can use it to look up for the information for your server, right? But in webhook, because it's a you call it sometimes reverse API or API endpoint, sorry, event based endpoint API. So it's an API endpoint that serves a different purpose. Instead of just looking up information like a typical get API endpoint, we can post to the webhook with some JSON data and then it will do something internally. That means webhooks can serve as a lot of event system. So here let's use the let's suppose I'm giving you an example. Okay, so think of it like if your server side application is a big company, that is your API. Okay, and API would be the team whose job is to respond inquiries from external parties like customers, company, partners, for example. Okay, but in Webhook, let's use same company analogy in used in for API. If the API is like a team responding to inquiries from other parties, Webhooks would be the team that making action when approved partners say. Just like the team who updates the inventory when the supplier says that we have more items in stock. So it triggered a notification that yeah, this is our stock has been increased by 2 to 3 or 200 to 250. So basically, webhooks are like an anti-API endpoints. They take in data and do internal work, whereas, whereas standard API endpoints return data to the client when it is required. So this is a simple example. So I think probably this answer your questions, right? And let's give some more example here. So you can see webhook versus API in action, right? So here in webhooks you can updating customer information in your CRM and sending the automatic reminders and notifying asking for a stock market update, right? Even in we are using stock market apps, like, so whenever stock market something happens, increases or decreasing, so it will give you an update or notification. But when it comes, where is it comes, right? Is it comes from webhook, because they set the automatic reminders and that's triggered when an event occurred, and then you get the notification. That is the webhook. But in simple term, webhooks don't ask for your manually data. They will just automatically send you the notification. But in API, when you call for it, only then it will get you the information, like the example here, tracking a shipment location. Like, you are tracking a shipment locations, you make a payment with a digital wallet or digital payment method like Google Pay, Phone Pay, or whatever, Amazon Pay, and you pulling the traffic data from their software. What is the ETA, what is the arrival of time, expected at time of arrival, right? They then API called their software and you get the data. That is the use case actually. Another use case in API, you can say, like, mostly API systems are comparison with microservices. So API regulate how information is passed between a client and a server, because it sits as a middleman between them. Okay, so in that case we use API pretty much for everything here. Building a web application without API is almost impossible right now. So another use case is, if you open up a new tab in the Google, you can see the weather, right? Weather in your hometown. You will see a neat little widget. Sorry, Google doesn't own that actually. Okay, they are not collecting weather information from around the world, and especially not so in this tiny town in rural, like any kind of uh, urban area or urban rural area. But somehow they have filled out this information. How? Because it's integrated with the external application. They fetch the data from that application and give you the application via API, because you call for that. That's how you get the data, right? So this is the another use case. So here is a simple terminology. I have just given you the terminology. Like, whenever any event is occurred, you get the notification. It posts the notification and I get the notification in terms of webhooks. But in API, you have to call for it, for the notification that we need this data. Send me the data, and then API call it, and you get the data. So I am making the video, and this slide is from Zapier. I like to mention that because I am using their terminology here. So another use case for webhooks. So where we can use the webhooks in the wild. Remember how I said earlier that it would be a bad idea for Google to able to tell IBM to update their database. Like, well, I lied. Sending data back to IBM to do something, it could be a helpful thing to do. For example, let's retake a look at that wither widget for API. Okay. Previously, I directed your attention to the bottom right near, like there the webhook is occurred and that is there. And sometimes when you get the notification like thunderstorm is coming, or the weather could be little bit high today in the summertime, that push data is coming from the webhooks. Another example of webhooks is like for the flight. Okay, so you have subscribed or you have signed up for a web application or any software that books flight. That is a flight booking application like book my ticket, or sorry, book my ticket transfer, not for flight, make my trip or go IBPO, right? So when any flight, you have booked a flight, you have registered for the flight, but flight got delayed. At that time, you have subscribed for the notification as also. So at that time, that web hook got triggered and it puts the notification, and you get the notification in your phone. Like this, the flight got delayed for 1 hour, flight got delayed for 2 hours. Similar to the train, any seats is available, so you get the notification like the seat is available right now. So these notifications is coming through totally webhook. So this is the simple terminology of API and webhook. I hope you like it, and as I make the promise, I will make a video in every weekend, every week. And that's it for today. Hope you like it, share it, and subscribe it. Goodbye.